The poor girl accidentally met her childhood love, not knowing that he was now a millionaire, and fell in love with her again. The rain poured relentlessly, casting a gray haze over the city streets. Emily Carter clutched her umbrella tightly as she maneuvered through the crowded sidewalk, her worn-out sneakers splashing in shallow puddles. Her shift at the downtown diner started in less than 10 minutes, and she couldn't afford to be late again. Ahead of her, Adam Blake stepped out of a sleek red luxury car, grimacing at the downpour. His tailored suit and polished shoes stood out starkly against the damp chaos of the city. He glanced at his watch, irritated by the delay. The collision was sudden and unintentional. Emily, distracted by her rushing thoughts, turned the corner and bumped straight into him. Her umbrella slipped from her grasp, the metal ribs clattering against the sidewalk. "Oh no, I'm so sorry," she exclaimed, kneeling to retrieve her umbrella. "I wasn't looking where I was going." Adam steadied himself, his irritation dissolving the moment his eyes landed on her face. A jolt of recognition hit him like lightning. "Emily. Is that really you?" Emily froze, her brow furrowed as she looked up at him. His face was familiar, but she couldn't place him. "Do I know you?" she asked, her voice laced with confusion. "It's me, Adam. Adam Blake," he said, his voice softening. "From Crestwood? We were friends, back then." Her eyes widened in disbelief as she processed his words. Memories of childhood afternoons spent climbing trees and riding bikes through the small town of Crestwood flooded back. "Adam Blake," she repeated, her tone tinged with amazement. "You moved away, what? 15 years ago?" "More like 17, he replied with a wry smile. "I can't believe it's you. You haven't changed a bit." Emily let out a nervous laugh, brushing a stray strand of damp hair from her face. "Well, I guess that makes one of us. You look different." Adam chuckled, the sound warm and genuine. "A lot has changed. But what about you? What are you doing here?" Before she could answer, a sharp ring from her phone interrupted them. Emily fumbled to silence the alarm she had set as a reminder. I really have to go. I'm already running late for work." Adam hesitated, not wanting the moment to end. "Where are you working? Maybe I'll stop by sometime." She smiled politely, pointing down the street. "The Bluebird Diner. It's not far." "The Bluebird," he repeated, committing it to memory. "Got it." As Emily turned to leave, she paused and glanced back. "It was nice seeing you again, Adam." "Really?" "Nice seeing you too, Emily," he replied, watching as she disappeared into the throng of umbrellas and hurried commuters. Adam remained rooted to the spot, his thoughts swirling. He hadn't expected this. Not today, not ever. Seeing Emily again stirred something deep within him, a mix of nostalgia and longing he hadn't felt in years. "I never thought I'd see her again," he murmured to himself, a faint smile tugging at the corners of his lips. The rain continued to fall, but for Adam, the world felt a little brighter. He stepped back into his car, his mind already working on how he could reconnect with the girl who had once meant so much to him. The Bluebird Diner bustled with the hum of clinking dishes, laughter from patrons, and the faint strains of oldies music playing from a jukebox in the corner. Emily Carter balanced a tray of coffee mugs in one hand and scribbled orders on her notepad with the other, her movements quick and precise. Near the window, Adam Blake sat in a corner booth. He'd been coming here every day for the past week, always sitting in her section, always ordering something simple, a coffee, a sandwich, a slice of pie. Today it was pancakes. When Emily approached with his plate, she smiled warmly, her usual guarded demeanor softening. "Back again, huh? You're starting to become a regular." Adam grinned. "Maybe it's the pancakes, or maybe it's the company." Emily rolled her eyes but laughed. "Well, the company appreciates the tips, so keep him coming." She set the plate down in front of him and tucked the tray under her arm. "How are they today?" "Perfect," Adam replied, though he hadn't even taken a bite yet. "You're the one who recommended them, so I trust you." She leaned against the booth for a moment, a rare lull in her busy shift. "I guess my memory of you isn't completely rusty," she said with a teasing smile. "You were always the picky eater. Remember how you refused to eat anything green back in the day?" Adam laughed, the sound rich and warm. "Guilty as charged. And you used to bribe me with those caramel candies your mom kept in her purse just to get me to eat broccoli." Emily's smile faltered slightly at the mention of her mom, but she quickly recovered. "Yeah, well, someone had to make sure you didn't starve." The conversation flowed easily as they reminisced about their childhood in Crestwood. They talked about bike rides through the woods, late-night firefly chases, and summers spent by the creek. It's funny, Adam said, stirring his coffee absent-mindedly. When I think about Crestwood, most of my memories are with you. Emily looked down, fiddling with her pen. Yeah, those were good times. Her voice carried a hint of wistfulness. As the afternoon stretched on, Emily returned to his table in between her other customers. Adam noticed how her energy seemed to fade with each pass. Her smile stayed in place, but he could see the exhaustion behind her eyes. You work too hard, he said during one of her check-ins. She shrugged. Gotta pay the bills somehow. Besides, it keeps me busy. Curious, Adam pressed gently. You ever get any time for yourself? What about your art? You were always sketching something when we were kids. Emily's cheeks flushed slightly. I haven't picked up a pencil in years. Life kind of got in the way. Adam felt a pang in his chest. You were so talented. You could have gone far. Her smile turned bittersweet. Maybe. But I had to grow up fast. Reality doesn't always leave room for dreams. The words lingered between them, heavy yet unspoken. Adam wanted to say more, to offer her a way out of the struggles she seemed to carry alone, but he held back. One evening, as the diner began to empty, Adam overheard Emily speaking to a coworker. Yeah, the rent's due next week, she said, her voice low. And I still need to send some money to my brother. His tuition's overdue again. The coworker offered a sympathetic look. You're working double shifts. That's gotta help, right? Emily sighed. It's still not enough, but I'll figure it out. I always do. Adam's chest tightened. He admired her determination, but the weight of her burdens was evident. His mind raced with thoughts of how he could help without revealing the extent of his wealth. Later, as the diner quieted, Emily returned to his table for one last check. Need anything else before I close your tab? Adam shook his head, hesitating before speaking. Do you ever think about what could have been, if we hadn't lost touch? Her expression softened, a mix of curiosity and sadness. Sometimes, she admitted. But life has a funny way of pulling people in different directions, doesn't it? Adam nodded, his gaze steady on hers. Maybe, but sometimes it brings them back together. For a moment, the noise of the diner seemed to fade away, leaving just the two of them in a quiet bubble of nostalgia and unspoken emotions. The upscale restaurant buzzed with the quiet hum of conversations and the occasional clink of fine china. Crystal chandeliers cast a soft, golden glow over the polished marble floors. Emily Carter adjusted the hem of her modest dress as she stepped into the grand dining room, feeling out of place amid the opulence. Adam Blake, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit, stood near the entrance, waiting for her. His face lit up when he saw her. You made it, he said warmly, stepping forward to greet her. Emily forced a smile, her nerves evident. Yeah, well, I almost turned around when I saw the valet parking. What is this place? Just somewhere I thought we could have a nice dinner, Adam replied casually, leading her to their reserved table near the large windows overlooking the city skyline. Emily hesitated before sitting down, glancing around at the other diners in their designer attire. Adam, this place is fancy. Are you sure this isn't too much? He gave her a reassuring smile. You deserve something special. Consider it a treat just for us to catch up. The waiter arrived with meanness, but Emily barely glanced at hers, overwhelmed by the sheer luxury surrounding her. She felt the weight of it all, the crisp linen napkins, the hushed atmosphere, the knowledge that her weekly paycheck wouldn't cover a single appetizer. As they chatted, Adam seemed relaxed, steering the conversation toward lighter topics, childhood memories, favorite foods, funny moments they'd shared. But Emily couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. You're being unusually secretive, she teased. What's this really about? Adam chuckled nervously. Can't a guy have dinner with an old friend without a hidden agenda? Before Emily could reply, a man approached their table, clapping Adam on the shoulder. Adam Blake. What a surprise to see you here, the man exclaimed, his tone jovial. Adam's expression tightened, but he maintained his composure. Richard, hi. Didn't expect to see you tonight. The man turned to Emily with a friendly smile. And who's this lovely lady? Adam, you didn't tell me you'd bring a date to celebrate your latest acquisition. Emily's brow furrowed. Acquisition? Richard laughed, oblivious to the tension in the air. Oh, you know Adam, always closing deals. The man's a genius in the tech world. He extended a hand to Emily. Richard Martin, CEO of Martin Enterprises. Adam and I go way back. Adam tried to interject, but the damage was done. Emily's eyes widened as the pieces fell into place. Tech world? CEO? What's he talking about, Adam? She demanded, her voice rising. "Emily, I can explain," Adam began, his tone pleading. But Emily was already standing, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. "Explain what? That you're not just some ordinary guy. That you're a millionaire and didn't think to mention it." Richard took a step back, sensing he'd walked into something private. "I'll leave you two to talk," he mumbled, retreating quickly. Emily turned back to Adam, her eyes blazing. "Was this all a joke to you? Were you just slumming it for fun?" "Of course not," Adam protested, standing as well. "I didn't want my money to change things between us. I wanted you to know me, not what I have." Emily's laugh was bitter. "Do you have any idea what it's like for someone like me? Struggling to make ends meet, working 2 jobs, worrying about rent, and here you are pretending to be just like the rest of us. It's insulting." "That's not fair," Adam said, his voice firm but pained. "I didn't mean to deceive you. I didn't know how to tell you without losing you." "You never gave me the chance to decide for myself," Emily shot back, grabbing her bag. "You've been living in some fantasy, Adam. But this is my real life." She turned and strode toward the exit, ignoring Adam's calls for her to stop. He sank back into his chair, running a hand through his hair as the weight of her words settled over him. The once inviting restaurant now felt cold and suffocating. "Emily," he whispered to himself, his voice heavy with regret. "I never meant to hurt you." Outside, Emily stood under the awning, the rain coming down harder than ever. She hugged her arms around herself, tears mixing with the raindrops on her cheeks. "How could I have been so blind?" she murmured, her heart aching with betrayal and confusion. She hailed a cab, her mind racing with questions and emotions she wasn't ready to face. As the taxi pulled away, she glanced back at the restaurant, her chest tightening when she saw Adam standing at the window, watching her leave. For the first time in years, the bond they'd shared as children felt irreparably broken. The late evening cast a soft glow over the city as Emily exited the diner after her shift. She tugged her coat tighter against the chilly air, her thoughts swirling in chaos. The past few weeks had been an emotional roller coaster, Adam's revelation, her own conflicted feelings, and the memories of a bond she couldn't shake. Emily had thrown herself into work to avoid thinking about Adam. Each double shift, each extra task felt like a shield from the hurt, but no amount of busy work could stop the flashes of their childhood. She remembered Adam as the boy who shared his lunch when she forgot hers, who helped her catch fireflies on summer nights, and who promised, "No matter what happens, I'll always have your back." Now, that promise felt like a cruel joke. After closing the diner one night, Emily was greeted by a delivery man holding a bouquet of daisies, her favorite flowers. She hesitated before taking the bouquet, a small card tucked between the stems catching her eye. "I know I messed up. Please let me make it right, Adam." Her chest tightened. She wanted to throw the flowers away, to sever the ties that kept pulling her heart in 2 directions. Yet, she couldn't. Days passed, and Adam's presence lingered in her life, even from a distance. Messages arrived, heartfelt apologies that she ignored. The diner's regulars occasionally asked about the man who always sat in her section, their innocent curiosity only adding to her torment. "You should give him a chance," her co-worker Brenda said one night, sliding into the booth across from her during a break. Emily shook her head. "It's not that simple." Brenda shrugged. "The good ones never are." Meanwhile, Adam wrestled with his own guilt. He regretted hiding his success from Emily, but even more than that, he hated seeing her hurt. He hadn't meant to deceive her, he'd just been scared. Growing up poor himself, Adam knew how people's attitudes changed when they saw money. He'd learned to guard his heart, but with Emily, he'd wanted to drop his guard completely. Now, it felt like he'd lost her forever. One evening, Adam decided to take action. He learned about Emily's family debt and anonymously paid off a significant portion. A handwritten note was left with the receipt. "You've carried this burden long enough. You're not alone anymore." When Emily discovered the payment, her first instinct was disbelief. Who would do such a thing? Then she saw the note, and her heart sank. She knew it had to be Adam. Gratitude clashed with frustration. How could he step into her life uninvited, even with good intentions? It felt like an invasion, but it also felt kind. That night, as she walked home, her thoughts were interrupted by a familiar figure standing under the street lamp near her building. Adam. Her steps faltered, and she debated turning back, but his gaze locked onto hers, filled with an unspoken plea. "Emily," he said softly as she approached, his voice hesitant. "Can we please talk?" She folded her arms, keeping her distance. "What are you doing here, Adam?" I couldn't stay away, he admitted. Not after everything. Her jaw tightened. You mean after lying to me? I didn't lie, he said, stepping closer. I didn't tell you everything because I was afraid. Afraid of losing the one real connection I've had in years. Emily's heart ached at his words, but she refused to let it show. Do you have any idea how humiliating it was? To sit there realizing I'd been talking to someone who could buy the diner I work in without blinking. I wasn't trying to humiliate you, Adam said earnestly. I was trying to be close to you, the way we used to be. She shook her head, tears threatening to spill. We can't go back, Adam. Too much has changed. Maybe, he said, his voice breaking slightly. But can't we try to move forward? Emily looked away, the weight of her emotions too much to bear. She wanted to believe him, to trust the boy she'd once known, but the man before her felt like a stranger. I don't know, she whispered, her voice trembling. Adam reached into his pocket and pulled out a small envelope. If nothing else, let me give you this. It's not about money, I promise. Just read it when you're ready. He placed the envelope gently into her hand and stepped back. I'll wait for you, Emily. However long it takes. Without another word, he turned and walked away, leaving her standing alone under the street lamp, clutching the envelope as the cold wind swirled around her. Back in her apartment, Emily stared at the envelope for what felt like hours before finally opening it. Inside was a simple letter. Emily, you once told me that life had a way of pulling people apart, but I don't believe it has to end that way. I made mistakes, ones I'll regret forever, but the one thing I'll never regret is finding you again. I'll never stop trying to make things right. Always. Adam. Fine. Tears streamed down her face as she folded the letter. For the first time in weeks, a flicker of hope stirred in her heart, though she wasn't sure what to do with it. The soft glow of the setting sun bathed the park in golden hues as Adam sat on a weathered bench, anxiously tapping his foot. It was the park they'd both cherished as kids, where they'd spent countless afternoons chasing fireflies and daring each other to climb the old oak tree nearby. Today, though, the air was heavy with anticipation. In the distance, he spotted Emily walking toward him. She was bundled in a light coat, her steps cautious, her expression unreadable. As she approached, Adam stood, hands nervously stuffed into his pockets. Hi, he said softly. Emily nodded, her eyes meeting his briefly before flickering away. Hi. They sat down together, an awkward silence stretching between them. Finally, Adam broke it. I'm glad you came, he said, his voice low but sincere. I've been wanting to explain everything. Emily folded her hands in her lap, her knuckles pale from gripping them too tightly. I think you owe me that much. Adam took a deep breath, his gaze fixed on the horizon. When I saw you that day in the rain, it felt like the universe gave me a second chance. You were always the one person who saw me for who I was, not what I had. I was scared that if you knew everything about my life now, it would change how you saw me. Emily frowned. You didn't think I could handle it. It wasn't about you, Adam said quickly. It was about me. About how much I've come to hate what money does to people, the way it warps relationships. I didn't want to lose you again, not to something as shallow as my bank account. Emily turned to him, her eyes glistening. I wasn't angry because you're rich, Adam. I was angry because you didn't trust me enough to tell me the truth. We're supposed to be friends. I know, Adam said, his voice breaking. And I'll regret not telling you for the rest of my life. I thought I was protecting us, but all I did was push you away. I'm sorry, Emily. Her shoulders relaxed slightly, the tension between them easing as his words sank in. I missed you, she admitted softly. Adam looked at her, his expression filled with both hope and relief. I missed you too. More than I can say. They sat in silence for a moment, the sounds of children laughing in the distance filling the air. I promise, Adam said finally, his voice steady, no more secrets. No more half-truths. I'll be honest with you, always, if you'll give me another chance. Emily studied him, searching his face for sincerity. What she saw there softened her resolve. I think we both need to learn to trust each other again, she said. Adam nodded, a small smile breaking across his face. I can work with that. A week later, Adam called Emily with an invitation. I want to show you something. Will you come with me? She hesitated but agreed, curiosity piqued. He picked her up in his car, though the ride was quieter than she expected. Adam seemed nervous, glancing at her every so often, but saying little. When they arrived, Emily found herself in front of an art gallery, its windows glowing warmly against the night. What is this? She asked, stepping out of the car. "You'll see," Adam said, his voice tinged with excitement. Inside, the gallery buzzed softly with murmured conversation and the faint clinking of glasses. Emily froze as her eyes landed on the walls. Her sketches, ones she'd drawn years ago and thought forgotten, were framed and displayed, each one illuminated under perfect lighting. "I don't how," she stammered, turning to Adam. "I found them in your apartment," he admitted sheepishly. "I know I shouldn't have snooped, but they were beautiful, Emily. You're talented, and the world deserves to see that." Emily's hands flew to her mouth, overwhelmed. You did this for me?" He stepped closer, his eyes never leaving hers. "I remember you saying how much you loved art but had to give it up. I wanted to give it back to you. And it's not just this, I enrolled you in art school. Don't worry," he added quickly, seeing her shocked expression. "You can say no, but I wanted you to have the chance." Tears welled in Emily's eyes as she took in the sight of her work displayed so beautifully, strangers admiring the pieces she'd poured her heart into. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. Adam reached for her hand. "You don't have to say anything. Just let me be here for you, the way I couldn't be before." Her lips trembled as she nodded, her fingers tightening around his. As the night wound down and the gallery emptied, Adam led her to the centerpiece of the exhibit, a large canvas she didn't recognize. "This one's new," he said, gesturing to it. Emily stepped closer, realizing it was a painting of the park where they'd reconnected. In the foreground, two figures sat on a bench, their faces half-turned but unmistakably hers and Adam's. "I painted this?" she asked, confused. Adam shook his head. "I commissioned it. To remember the moment we found each other again." He turned to her, his expression earnest. "Emily, I've loved you since we were kids. I'll keep loving you for the rest of my life. Can we start over?" Emily's breath caught as he dropped to one knee, holding out a simple ring, a small sapphire surrounded by tiny diamonds. Her heart swelled with emotion, and tears spilled over as she nodded. "Yes," she said, her voice breaking. "We can start over." Adam slipped the ring onto her finger, and as he rose, she threw her arms around him, laughter and tears mixing as they held each other tightly. For the first time in years, Emily felt like she had truly come home. Life took on a different rhythm after Emily accepted Adam's heartfelt proposal. They spent their days rediscovering each other, not just as childhood friends but as two adults navigating a deeper, more profound love. Emily was hesitant at first, unsure of how their vastly different worlds could merge. But Adam, ever patient, made it clear that their connection transcended wealth or status. "You make me feel like myself," Adam said one evening, as they walked hand in hand through the park where they'd reconnected. "No boardrooms or bank accounts, just me." Emily smiled. "And you've reminded me what it's like to dream again." Their relationship wasn't without challenges. Adam's demanding career occasionally clashed with Emily's newfound passion for art school. But they faced each obstacle with honesty and unwavering support, promising to always put their love and mutual respect first. Eager to honor their humble beginnings, Adam and Emily decided to establish a scholarship fund for students in their hometown. "We both know what it's like to struggle," Emily explained to the board members of Adam's foundation. "If we can help even one student pursue their dreams, it's worth it." The Bright Futures Scholarship was born, providing financial aid and mentorship to underprivileged students. Adam and Emily frequently visited schools, sharing their story to inspire hope and resilience. One day, after a talk at a local high school, a student approached Emily with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," the girl said softly. "You've shown me it's okay to hope again." Emily squeezed her hand, her heart swelling with purpose. "Never stop hoping," she replied. A year later, on a crisp autumn evening, Adam and Emily attended a prestigious art exhibit, one that featured Emily's latest collection. The gallery buzzed with admiration for her work, but Emily's focus was on Adam, who had been her steadfast cheerleader through every brushstroke and late-night session. As the evening wound down, Adam gently guided her toward a private section of the gallery. To her surprise, the space was filled with portraits of their shared memories, the diner where they'd reconnected, the park bench where they'd reconciled, and even the gallery that showcased her art for the first time. Emily turned to him, her eyes wide. "What's all this?" Adam knelt before her, holding a small velvet box. "You've painted color back into my life," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You've shown me the beauty of simplicity, the strength of hope, and the joy of love. Will you marry me?" Tears streamed down Emily's face as she nodded. "Yes," she whispered, her voice trembling. "But only if you promise to keep being the boy I fell in love with." Adam grinned, slipping the ring onto her finger. Deal. Their wedding was a perfect blend of simplicity and elegance. Held in the very park that had played such a pivotal role in their story, the ceremony was intimate, with close friends and family gathered under twinkling fairy lights strung between trees. Emily walked down the aisle in a flowing white gown, her bouquet adorned with delicate wildflowers. Adam waited at the altar, his eyes brimming with love and awe. "I feel like the luckiest man alive," he whispered as she reached him. "And I feel like the luckiest woman," Emily replied, her voice steady and full of conviction. As they exchanged vows, there wasn't a dry eye among the guests. Their words reflected not just their love but the journey that had brought them to this moment, a journey filled with struggle, growth, and an unyielding belief in each other. Their first dance as husband and wife was to the soft melody of a string quartet. They swayed gently, their foreheads touching, lost in their own world. "You make me believe in forever," Emily murmured. Adam smiled, his hands tightening around her waist. "And you make forever worth believing in." As the evening unfolded, laughter and joy filled the air. Guests mingled under the stars, toasting to a love that had weathered storms and come out stronger. Standing at the edge of the crowd, Emily and Adam watched their loved ones celebrate. "This is everything I've ever wanted," Emily said, leaning her head on Adam's shoulder. Adam kissed her temple. "And it's only the beginning." In that moment, surrounded by love and the glow of countless fairy lights, Emily and Adam knew they'd found not just a happy ending but a beautiful new chapter. Thank you for joining us on this heartfelt journey of love, resilience, and rediscovery. Emily and Adam's story reminds us that true connections withstand the tests of time, challenges, and even life's unexpected turns. It's a beautiful reminder that love, when nurtured with honesty and hope, can create new beginnings and lasting happiness. If this story touched your heart, please let us know by liking, sharing, and leaving a comment below. Your support means the world to us. And don't forget to subscribe to Soul-Stirring Stories for more inspiring tales that celebrate the beauty of love, the strength of the human spirit, and the moments that change lives forever. Stay tuned for our next story, and remember, the most moving stories are often the ones closest to the heart. See you next time.